Hi, I'm Judy Mudd, and this is a video on the 3 basic brushes of watercolor and how to use them and what I look for in a brush. This first one is a round, and I probably paint using a round brush 90% of the time, probably 95% of the time in my paintings. I find them a little more versatile than, say, a flat. There are some artists that use nothing but flats, but I tend to use a round. What I look for in a round is, number one, spring. Number two, it must have a sharp point to the tip. And the way you use a round is when you load it with paint, there is more water in the belly and more paint on the tip. So when you press it down, you squeeze that water out of the belly, and it creates a watery effect. Let me add another color to that so you can see how watery and beautiful it can be. So you're supposed to use the side of the round brush most of the time. However, it is very versatile, especially one like this that's synthetic. It has a little spring to it. You can also use the side of it as almost a squarish shape, say rocks on a bank, or say a building with cobblestone. It's very versatile, and you just use maybe the first ½ inch, and so I like to use around that way. Also, because it does have a good point, you can use it for grasses, little details in a building. There's various ways that you can use a round with a point, because it does have that good strong point. Again, this one is Low Cornell. It is the 70-20 Ultra Round, has a red band on it, and I just find these very, very helpful in painting. There are also things like this. This is a number 20. Look at the point that this one has. It's a number 20. If I'm doing a large landscape and I don't want to refill continuously, I'll use this. Now obviously I can do a whole sky wash with this one, but I also can do things as small as a number 2 brush would do, and a lot of details with it without having to refill my brush with paint. So it goes further, it holds a lot more water or paint. So that's the round. The flats come in a variety of lengths and widths. These are a ½ inch and an inch. These brushes are also called strokes because the hairs are longer than, say, a regular flat, which may be short or stubby. And I find having a little bit longer and having some spring to it allows you to do more with it. This is by Princeton. It is called a stroke. It's the 40-50 series, and I find them very, very helpful to paint with. Let me show you a little bit of what you can do with the larger one. If you were going to do a large sky, you could do a large sky with it. And just have that continuous look all the way down in a sky background. I'll use this shorter one. You can also use this to do telephone poles. Something like that. Fence posts. You can also use the side of the brush. I'm going to turn it on its side and use that for texture. It creates a very unique looking texture. So brushes, we try to use all of the brush, not just the tips, but we use the sides and the edges of our brushes. The third brush I'm going to demonstrate is what I call the rigger. It's sometimes called a liner and sometimes called a script, but they're all basically about the same thing. They are skinny, they are round, and they have long hairs on them. Some of them are longer than others. I'll look for one that has a lot of spring. I like spring in my brushes. And the way these are used are for say, twigs, let's see, or trees. Let's see, maybe not the tree trunk, but say the tree branches as they come out, like that. It's very effective for tree. You'll use it for telephone lines, like that. You'll also use it for, say, twigs and small grasses, like that, and just scratch those in. So they're very, very helpful. Probably the least that you'll use it, but it does things that the other two cannot do. So you'll find having a rigger in your brushes very helpful. The last one that actually it's not on my handout, but I do use it quite a bit. And I tell some of my students sometimes I think this is more important than these other three, but that's not true. These will apply paint, but this one will take it off. This is actually an acrylic or oil brush that I've cut the end of it off so it fit in my case. It is synthetic. It is a nylon, very smooth bristles. Again, it's pretty stiff, and it comes to a chisel point. And I like something like this much better than, say, a rounded one that like people use for fabric and lifting or painting. I find having a chisel point more effective and more helpful, that you can actually cut into tight spaces and clean up the edges, like something like that. Or if you want to actually lift and create lights and bring those lights back that maybe you lost. Let me pull this up closer so you can see it. What a fine line a very a thin nylon bristle brush like this can just lift that right out. So I do find it very helpful, and use it daily in my paintings. There are many other brushes for watercolor, and I will go through them in another video in detail. Something such as a dagger, a mop. There's a couple different daggers that I use, and even say a wash brush, to where you can wet the whole paper and just put in a wash of the whole sky area or background. So those are at least the first three are the three basic brushes of watercolor, and I hope you find that helpful, and thank you for watching.